Sorry, my text went off. Um, but the first experience that I think we had was when. Can you hear me? My text went off.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Sorry. The first experience, the most recent experience that I think I had was I'm going to Villisca, Iowa. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes.
the case behind it.
One
So
one of my guests, Rhonda Burhow, was on my show quite a while back, about 5 months ago. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
familiar with the Villisca. Yeah, go ahead.
So we went to Villisca. Um, and I had wanted to stay in the house forever. I knew the case inside and out. I was so confident, I was prepared. I'm like, I got this. These are, this is just a sweet family and they're great and like nothing's gonna happen to us. Well, my partner, who was a diehard atheist, until he went to Villisca, mind you, we went, we're in the house. I'm downstairs in the Stillinger room where Ina and Lena were murdered. And I'm just, setting up everything. Take some time to introduce myself to the girls, assuming they're there, and tell them hello, tell them who I am. Say I'm just here checking out your house. And all of a sudden, as we're getting things unpacked, my partner comes running downstairs. He's like, "Oh my God, ghosts are real!" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I hear an axe, like a thumping noise right by one of the axe marks in the children's room." And I'm like, he's messing with me. Like I said, he's an atheist and he doesn't believe in this stuff, and he kind of was making fun of me. And I'm like, he's picking on me. He doesn't, but he was shitting bricks. He just
Wow.
he gave me the biggest hug and sat there just shaking for the next like 10 minutes. Finally, finally I managed to get him to leave the room, and we're kind of going around the house. I didn't want to go up the stairs. I'm actually in a wheelchair, so
No.
I would have had to climb the stairs. And as I'm going, do I want to go? Don't I want to go? Kind of felt somebody like put their hand on my shoulder, like, we got you, you're gonna be okay. So I'm like, that's so weird. Whatever. And I turned around and said thank you. I was raised to believe in ghosts, so I'm very, very aware. Um, so we turn around and I say thank you. I go up the stairs, and as I'm going up the stairs, there's an axe mark in the floor, like right in the floor. And of course, I'm in the wheelchair, so I climbed the steps. And so I touched it with my hand and I started freaking out. I'm like, I touched it. Oh my God. And it was, it was amazing. I think that's when my partner started to believe. So that was pretty cool. He actually apologized to me later on and kept saying, ghosts are real. That night was intense.
Yeah.
There's no doors on any of the rooms, so you have to go in the rooms. And I'm laying on the floor because we brought like a little sleep mat. Laying on the floor on the sleep mat, and I can't close the door. And I see my wheelchair just moving back and forth, back and forth, and I'm like, okay. And my first thought is, what is that? Like, we checked the floor the next day. My partner has a degree in engineering. We checked the floor the next day. It was completely level. There's no way the chair would have moved on its own. So it was really, really weird. Um, my first thought is little kids like to wheel things,
Right.
So like, the youngest child was, I think, 5. So my first thought is kids like to wheel things. Maybe they don't know what this thing is. They're curious. They're playing whatever. Um, you could hear a lot of footsteps, especially at night. Um, the coroner's report suggested the murders happened between midnight and 5, if I'm not mistaken. I read up on the case again before I got on here. And the so around 2 a.m. I would say was the most active. We saw so many crazy things. and the man sleeping above us had a sleep paralysis experience. People, like, he dreamed that somebody was pulling him under the bed, like,
I've
pulling
had
him
that.
under.
I've had that happen before. It's not fun.
I've never had a sleep paralysis
Oh,
experience,
it's
but
crazy.
ugh, sounds awful.
And when you're laying there and you can't move and you're screaming in your dream, no, 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 as loud
No,
as you can,
boy.
and nobody's hearing you, and you see this creature at the doorway trying to get in, and you just come to the realization that if that thing gets in here, it's going to claw my face off.
What kind of creature was it?
It looked like a hag, like
Oh,
an old hag. Yeah,
yeah. What I
that's the
find so weird is all the sleep paralysis demons seem pretty similar.
yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you lost a little bit of your light there. You're kind of dark. It's like a
Oh,
silhouette.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's
still
okay.
here.
Okay.
The there's a lot of big trucks that go by, and so the light from the window can get doled out sometimes. Sorry. I'm still here.
So what else did you want to share? That's the best, the biggest story you got, or
Um, well, Velisca was really, really cool. So, um, like I've said, I grew up believing in ghosts, and part of that was growing up where I grew up. My home was very haunted. We moved in, I want to say when I was about 7 in 1998, and we move in, and my my mom, she's like, I heard the smoke detector going off in the middle of the night, and nobody knew why. And just a bunch of random little things you could attribute to, new house, new things settling. Well, one night, my sister, who was 3 and barely old enough to talk at that point, came to my mother and she says, I'm friends with an old lady. She lives in my room. She can take her legs off.
oh, jeez.
So, yeah. So there's like an amputee ghost living in my sister's childhood room. She was also friends with 2 little boys that she said would play with her. And she would tell us all about all these adventures she'd have with these 2 little boys. But we're both girls and there's nobody else living in our house, no other children. We would have the dogs like acting like they're getting belly rubs and nobody's there petting them, wagging their tails, playing with something that isn't there. It was super weird. Um, so we kind of grew up with the knowledge that there was something after this. And it was very comforting to me because I was like, okay, so there is an afterlife. This is awesome. But for a lot of people it can be very intimidating because they just see someone as being dead. They don't see them as, the person they used to be, good, bad, or otherwise. So um I would say actually going back to the time like me growing up. So I was one day I was talking about the ghost in our house, the ghost of the amputee woman, or I'm assuming she was an amputee because she could take her legs off.
Wow.
Um, and I'm sitting in my sister's bedroom typing this all out on the computer, talking in a group chat, and all of a sudden there's a bookshelf across the room from where the computer is where I'm typing, and all of a sudden a book just flies off the shelf and lands in a box, completely like lands perfectly in the box. There's no way that it would have just fallen that way. And I'm like, okay, weird. So I told my sister about it, and neither one of us wants to pick up the book in the box. And finally, she is like, "It happened to you. You're gonna go pick up the book." And the book is titled, and I'm not joking. I wish I was. There's someone inside your house. So in other words, they're like, "Yep, we're still here. Um, hi." I mean, it's bizarre. I really wish I had more paranormal experiences. Um, like in my house, but we really haven't had anything in a while. There are random smells around the house, like cigarettes, and things like that, like when nobody's home that smoke cigarettes, so it'll be random,
Hmm.
and there are some very my brother-in-law has also seen the little boy. He'll he sometimes says there's a little boy at the end of his bed at night, just chilling at the end of the bed. No one knows where he comes from, and it's very, very bizarre to have grown up that way, but I'm really glad I did. They'll see just the most unusual things from time to time. Um, One time when I was younger, I was upstairs. My cousin was in the like we have a downstairs bathroom that was a converted kitchen pantry,
Hmm.
and so she was downstairs in the bathroom, and there's a ghost that materializes in the kitchen. So there's a ghost of a man. He was wearing like a top hat or a pork pie hat, and he was just like standing in the kitchen. There had been a prison break not far from where I was living, and we were both a little bit nervous because they were like the prisoners could be coming into the area, and we're kids, so
Right?
we locked the doors and just start chilling because we're scared. So we think maybe he was just showing up to say, "Hey, I got you." Again, I'm not afraid of ghosts. Um, for the most part, I was afraid of the axe murderer, though. I was
Yeah.
That was intimidating, but as far as any of the ghosts that I've grown up with or really seen, I wasn't too nervous. Growing up around them, we were taught that they were there to protect us, kind of like angels, if you will, but ghosts.
Okay, so is there anywhere that you haven't been that you'd like to go and experience?
um, so I'd really love to go to I'd really love to go to New Orleans and just spend the night in one of the haunted hotels. Me and my partner are looking into going to a few different places. We're thinking about going to Tombstone, Arizona, which is, of course, host to a lot of Wild West ghosts.
Oh
We
yeah.
don't know how accessible it'll be for the wheelchair, but I make things work pretty easily, and I'm not too proud to like get on the floor or, just kind of hop around if I need to, because I'd rather just explore things. But we are looking into going to Tombstone
So
in the next year or so.
where are you located now, if I may ask?
State New York.
New York.
Yeah, close to
Um,
Buffalo.
well, there's a place that I've been trying to get booked for a long time, and I just did a baseline investigation there a couple weeks ago. Um, it's called the Old Lamar Hotel, and it's in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, that's what's the story there?
Well, it was a grocery store. They built a bar, a horseshoe-shaped bar on the first floor, but during Prohibition, they weren't serving a whole lot of alcohol, so they did it on the roof in a secret room. If you go in the room, there used to be chairs and broken bottles and all kinds of stuff in there. It's not accessible really right now, but the building was purchased and sat empty for 30 years. Then a tattoo parlor moved in, and when they started renovations, um, the spirits were not happy. Basically, slamming doors, perfume, cigar smoke smell, um, doors that would lock on their own, objects moving around. Um, there was a there was a longhorn skull that was donated while they were decorating from somebody. I think he's a shaman. It's really odd because on one part of the day, there's a shadow cast on the left side that looks like the outline of a woman. And on the other side, at another part of the day, it looks like a demon. So it casts two different shadows. And I was doing some, excuse me, I was doing some EVP work and I was asking And I'm going to post this on my page here so I get it all isolated. But I was asking, like, what's the deal about the skull? Is it good or is it bad? And I got an EVP of a male saying, good, long drawn out. And my wife happened to be there at the time. She looked at me, she goes, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good at
Yeah.
all.
It
Um,
sounds a little ominous.
yeah, it's very active. I got another EVP I was asking if they were upstairs, downstairs, or with us where we were sitting. And I got a child's voice that said nothing, all it said was stairs. Whether the child was sitting on the stairs or trying to say downstairs or upstairs, I don't know. But saw a shadow figure in the basement there.
Oh,
Um, it's a brand new elevator. That's when you said something. I'm like, you could get everywhere you needed to go in that building if you wanted to go. But yeah, I'm the go-to person for booking new investigations there, and it's affordable, about $50 a person.
that's awesome.
Right now, we're not sure if we have the first access to the first floor all the time, but we're working on that. But we got the second and third basement. So, like I always say, if spirits want to contact you, they will move another floor just to make sure you get contact with them. But yeah, it's a great building. It's just the structure is amazing.
Sounds really awesome. It really does. And I've never been to a haunted bar before or any kind of haunted speakeasy, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the third floor with the tattoo parlor actually had a bordello back in the day.
Oh,
The hotel rooms are gone. The bar is actually gone, sadly, but the space it was in is still exists. You could still walk around in that space. I was going to actually take some 20s and 30s music from the band that used to play there and play it to try as a trigger object to try to get some reaction from the spirits there.
it'd be kind of cool if like you did that and you could see like some type of like movement in the bar, like maybe people dancing or something, or hear glasses clinking or something like that.
Yeah, did
Yeah,
very well. The second floor had a lot of footsteps that were audible. So, and then when my wife was upstairs while me and the tattoo shop owner were in the basement, she heard whistling, and I got that almost ready to post online. So, yeah, it's
that's
it's
that's
going to
pretty
be
cool.
a great activity once we start investigating on a regular basis there. So, of course, then I got the old Robinson, John Robinson Hotel in Allegan, Michigan. They're doing an overnight Halloween investigation. It's going to be 9 hours. And that place is extremely active.
That's awesome.
Used to be a tuberculosis hospital. It used to be a war hospital. Al Capone and all the gangsters that he's associated with used to stop in there and get fixed up,
Yeah,
and they would hide out because there's a river close by, and they could move the moonshine that way easily too. So
that's really cool. Um, I'm like afraid of hospitals and haunted hospitals. So, but that is pretty cool. Hospitals are supposed to be incredibly haunted, so
yeah, well, the hospital started out the guy who built it. Basically, he would just see a patient if they'd give him a dozen eggs. He didn't charge everybody a ton of money to be well, even surgery. I mean, the surgical suite is right there when you walk in, where it used to be before they remodeled everything. And then the guy, John Robinson, bought it and he started charging outlandish amounts of money for people to get well again. So he was kind of a crook.
yeah, you know who cares about the patients and who doesn't in that story, right? Yeah. I did have an occasion to go. I didn't go in, so I don't really know how active this place is, but um there's a church I went to in Gettysburg and it's supposed to be haunted. We weren't allowed to go in
Hmm.
because it's like an active church and so you can only go in at certain times during services.
Hmm.
But it was supposed to be a haunted hospital, like a field hospital, where they like amputate limbs and stuff. And and so there was supposed to be like so much blood that you it would be like knee high,
Mm.
and there were a lot of deaths in there. I wanted to go in so bad, but I wasn't allowed to. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I've never been to Gettysburg yet, but I'm dying to go to Gettysburg. Now I have a house in Tennessee. It used to be my father's house, but it's right on the edge of the Shiloh National Forest, which was battleground for the Civil War. And there is a soldier. You can set your watch by this. 10:30 every night, he walks through the yard and down the hill.
That's amazing. Like I just started shivering.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
really cool. I've been wanting to go to like a fort or something. When I went to Gettysburg, we did it was very, very quick. We did it during the week and during the Halloween season. So I I was a little disappointed because it wasn't super active.
Hmm.
Although the company that owns the Axe Murder House in Bliska owns another inn, and you can stay the night. And I'm like, what if we just like stay the night again and see what happens? You know, if we're there long enough, maybe we'll catch something.
Right. But it's a lot of things around Gettysburg are very active.
Yeah, yeah.
And we
I
went
would,
to the Shiloh Museum, and one of the worst battles of the Civil War was on a bank of a river or canal, and all these tombstones are just pretty much placed right where everybody fell dead,
oh,
and you can hardly walk up the bank of the river because there's so many tombstones. It was a very vicious battle, but I'm a sensitive, so it was getting dark. I think it was on Labor Day or Memorial Day. It was a free day to go there, but I'm like, do we need to try to go ahead and leave? Because starting to get this, the heebie-jeebies about
yeah.
these soldiers are going to get up and start, strolling around. And I don't want to be here. So, yeah, we left.
There's um there's a graveyard near us. There's actually supposed to be a Civil War POW camp that is now a train station
Hmm,
by me, but there was a graveyard that was populated mostly by Civil War soldiers, and um, one of the people that dug the graves, the groundskeeper, was a freed slave. His name was John Jones. So John Jones put all of the Confederate soldiers, like he made all the graves pointed.
hmm.
So and put them all within um within the Northern soldiers. Like the Northern soldiers are all circling around the Confederates, which
Interesting.
I found kind of interesting. The John Jones house is supposed to be haunted as well. I have never been. I'm curious to go though, because there was a lot of history surrounding that. So I'm hopeful that someday I'll be able to go. It's just one of those things I've gotten around to yet.
Yeah, I did a real quick investigation the other night at a cemetery. Well, let's see. Yeah, graveyard is always next to a building. Cemetery is out by itself. That's not. Um, but this cemetery is called the Soup Cemetery, SOOP,
Mhm.
and it's about 5 miles away. But it's so well known because there's a family. Her name was Elizabeth Soup. Um, she was a black witch, and she's buried in there. And people are run out all the time. We're in there trying to do things on her grave tombstone and stuff. But I have a medium and parapsychologist that's working with me. She's actually in Greece. She lives in Greece, but she can do remote viewing and remote reading really, really well. So she looked over the footage and she said, well, while you were standing there next to that one tombstone, pretty old tombstone, she said there was a young man standing next to you, and there was a He was about 20-ish years old, and there was a young woman that was about 16, 17. And she said they are trapped from moving on because of this witch. She is keeping them from leaving and crossing over and using their power to, I don't know, fuel the rituals and spells that are being done on their grave. I
That's
thought
really,
they
really,
deserve to pass on, you know? They deserve to not be
yeah,
there.
definitely. It would be, unpleasant to be trapped for eternity. I always say I want to haunt people, but only for so long, and then I want to go do other things. I
Yeah,
think.
well, I think it's like torture if you're in that
Yeah.
situation.
I always wonder what like makes people, want to or end up staying in a place, you know.
Well, I think in the case of the Civil War soldier that I mentioned, Tennessee, excuse me,
Bless you.
um, I don't think that gentleman realizes that he's dead.
Oh,
I think he got shot while he was walking his post, and he fell down, and got back up, and kept right on going.
yeah.
Because it's not an intelligent haunt; it's a residual haunt. It's not like I can stop that spirit and say, "Hey, how's it going?" He's not going to hear me. He's not going to know I'm there.
Yeah.
So, his eternity's mapped out doing his job.
That has to be torture. Like it really does if you're just stuck there.
I don't think he's going to say, when am I going to get relieved, man? I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a few hundred years now.
But, there were people with that mindset in the Civil War. It's like, you tell me what to do, Sergeant, and I'll do it. I'll do it without people complaining. And most of them froze to death or starved to death or
Oh,
got several musket balls in their body. But
I had a I had a distant relative, obviously, but a relative who was shot in the shoulder and just played dead for like until the war was over
hmm,
because he didn't want to get an amputation. So he got up and afterwards just got up and went home.
wow.
Yeah, it was in I want to say I'm not sure. He was from New Jersey, but I'm not sure what battle he was in. So, but
Yeah.
it's
Charlotte was pretty bloody. Gettysburg, obviously, was pretty bloody.
yeah,
One of my favorite presidents is Abraham Lincoln, and I've been a fan of his ever since I was 10 years old. Read all like I got a portrait of him in my hallway out here. Um, I went to a museum when I was in elementary school.
mhm,
The Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan has some artifacts that belong to him. His top hat, one of his top hats, and one of his canes are in like this mock-up courtroom, scene that they did. Um, and silly me, I stepped across the ropes and went over there so I could touch his hat, but at least I could say I got to touch Abraham Lincoln's.
yeah. Are you allowed to touch stuff in that museum?
No, no, not without
Okay.
gloves. No, I was in big trouble. I was in a lot of trouble, for sure.
Yeah. I always want to go to museums and like play with stuff, and I can't. I want to touch it or play with it or something. I've also considered going to Lizzie Borden's home because they have a museum downstairs. You can see all the artifacts and stuff.
Yeah, you could lay right there where you got chopped up if you want to on the couch.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not afraid of Lizzie Borden. I think she had a lot of anger towards her family, and I think that's why. So, like, I'm not her relative. I wouldn't be scared.
Right. So, any questions for me? We got about 9 minutes left, unfortunately.
So, what's the coolest place you've ever investigated?
Ohio State Reformatory.
Oh my gosh, I went there not too long ago,
Really?
actually.
Mine
Yes,
was last February is when I was in there, and I went with Steve and Dustin and Kim from the Ghost Hunters. Got to investigate with those guys, so that was amazing. But
definitely.
did you catch anything or sense anything
Um,
there? Or
so I didn't actually see anything, which is why I didn't bring it up, but um, you know the room where the chair is? It's literally just the chair room and you go in and there's the chair. Well, we didn't know what it was. We had no idea what anything was. So we go down. My partner's taking pictures because he's a photographer. That's what he does. He's taking photos. And I'm just like, I don't want to be in this room. Like, I start freaking out. I don't want to be in there. And like I said, I stayed in Velisca, and I was fine. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? We finally, I, I said I couldn't stay in the room. And I was telling one of the paranormal investigators downstairs, he's like, yeah, people get scratched in there. People get, scratched in there, and people hear EVPs all the time. There's just such a sense of foreboding in there, and
Mhm.
it's really creepy because there's like hooks on the ceiling and stuff, which could have been from anything. But we're all like, oh my god, what even happened in here?
We went in the basement. I was with Dustin Pari in the basement in solitary confinement,
Oh yeah,
and he had that is that Necronomicon thing, that app on his tablet.
yeah, yeah.
And he said, "Okay, before we start," he said, "I want to come up with a password." Even we asked one of the younger girls, he said, "Come up with a password. It doesn't have to be paranormal or spooky, just a normal word." And she said, "Cupcake." And he said, "That's perfect." So we passed the tablet around. He said, "Now, when you ask your question, ask it in a form of like, I really like spaghetti. What do you like to eat?" That kind of format, like, well,
Mhm.
my favorite color is red. What's your favorite color? So we did that. Everybody in the group, about 16 or 17 of us, got a direct response. And halfway through, he said, "Oh, wait a minute." He said, "How many spirits, how many people are here with us?" And I think it said like six or seven. And they said, "So when we started this, we came up with a password. Do you know what that password was?" We're all standing there. A lot of garbled stuff comes through, and then all of a sudden a female voice says, "Cupcake," just as clear as a bell. And I'm like, okay, that
That's that's so weird.
was amazing.
I'm hoping that as time goes on, I can explore more paranormal things. And I'm sorry, my dog just came in. He'll occasionally just bust down the door. He's like, I don't want you to be in here alone, Mom. But yeah, I'm really hoping that I can get more experiences and
Do you
yeah.
have the next location lined up or not?
Sorry. No, we don't actually. We're looking into some, but as I'm sure you can guess, paranormal investigation is a pretty expensive hobby, so
Yeah, it is. I'm
yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
Well, I have to not only investigate, but invest in equipment too. So
Yeah.
it gets pretty expensive.
Yeah, we got a Ouija board when we went to Velisca and it didn't work. And I'm like, yeah, I spent $12 on this from Amazon, so no wonder it doesn't do anything. There was definitely activity there, but we didn't, nothing on the Ouija board.
Gotcha.
Either that or they didn't want to talk to us and they were like, just shut up. That's also possible.
Maybe there's some spirits that don't like to mess with them either.
Maybe. They were very, as I recall, the Moors were very Christian. So maybe they were a little, you know, maybe they it gives them the heebie-jeebies or something. I don't know.
Could
But
be. Well, keep an eye on my page for stuff that's coming up. Actually, send me a message with your address. I'll send you some stickers. I've been trading stickers and stuff with everybody, so
okay,
um,
cool.
I'll send you a sticker.
Okay. I would
And
like that.
a lot of people have started trading. I've gotten two packages of different stickers already, so it's fun. It's a fun little
Yeah,
thing. So
sounds fun.
para unity. All right, well, I'll let you go. Appreciate you. I'm finally
Okay.
glad we finally got to get online.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank
No,
you.
it wasn't your fault. I was having technical difficulties.
Thank
So,
you so much.
oh, you're welcome. Thanks for sharing with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.